Hey guys, welcome back to the Bad Back Gardener. Today we're going to do a tour of the gardens and the flowers. It's kind of a long overdue tour. I haven't done a tour here for quite a while. I kind of got away from it a little bit here, so I just wanted to give you an update on what's going on in the garden and what's growing around the house here. We've got some flowers, and it is now, this is July, but it's towards the end of July here. And so the garden is producing, and we're getting some vegetables and stuff out of the garden, and the flowers and stuff are all out pretty much in full. So the pots are all planted and everything's good. So let's do a quick tour. Okay, we'll start right here in the patio area. Got some super bells growing and some palms and some other tropicals growing in through here. Set up on my log display that I had built a couple years ago. And my potted plants and everything up on the patio. I actually don't have the cushions out right now. They're in the bin, but the tropical plants are doing pretty good. Got some bananas and some Dracaena and some bird of paradise out here. And got some canna lilies, are really looking pretty right now. Got some elephant ears growing, and some zinnias, and some palms, and some other stuff that I've got this year here. But pots and stuff are looking pretty good. The pussy willows went crazy. It was like growing down the rock wall out into the ground here, but I had to trim it back. It was going a little too crazy. I call it, looks like Cousin It from the Addams Family. But and then down here we got some more canna lilies in the barrel here. It's looking pretty, and some of the other pots are looking good. And we have some coneflowers. I can't remember what exactly these ones are called. They're very pretty, bright red, and some grass is growing. And we got some balloon flowers and coreopsis up here growing. Balloon flowers are pretty, they've been out for a little while. And up there we have some Dracaena. And if you've seen my video on planting potatoes in a small area, and I planted some in that old garbage can, and they're doing really good. As you can see, they've really taken off. We'll go down to the raised bed garden now. Okay, the raised bed, the pergola is getting rebuilt this year. I'm working on that. Currently I got some new top pieces for it, but I got some, so I didn't bring a whole lot of pots down for it. I just put like 3 pots down there for it with some flowers in it. But the raised bed garden is doing good. We did have a real good stretch of a lot of wet, humid weather, and we got a ton of rain for the longest time, and we got flooding and everything else going on. But what it did was cause I got some blights and stuff on my tomatoes. We've been in a little bit of a dry spell now right after that, so it's calming down some. But it's still, you can see the effects of it on the tomatoes and stuff. Tomatoes actually have grown up so high, I've tied them up, and I have no place higher to tie them, so they've kind of flopped down a little bit. So they're kind of looking ugly that way. As you can see down that row here, how tall the tomatoes are on that one. They're a good 8 foot tall in the beds. So this bed right here just kind of came up on its own. It's tomatoes and stuff that came up from the years past. I'd never pulled them out, but it's actually producing some tomatoes. And then the bean teepee's growing pretty good. We've been harvesting some beans off of it, some yellow wax pole beans and some other pole beans as well. They're real good. And there's 4 different kinds of beans here. I actually had some of my beans get eaten by a chipmunk or something, or shaved them off, so I had to replant them, but they're coming on strong now and growing pretty tall, actually up the top. So I'm sure we'll be picking beans for quite a while through that. We'll just go right through the tunnel. can come out over here. And we got some lettuce growing, got some turnips growing here. That's the second batch of turnips. I hope they turn out a little bit better than the first batch. Got some onions and then some basil, which needs maybe some dried out. And then we got some cilantro here. And these are the turnips that I planted. They got real big, but unfortunately they were a little wormy. So by the time you cut them down, cut the worms off and stuff all out, you don't get a whole lot. It's pretty much not even worth cutting out. So, and then we got some beets here that are starting to get big enough to harvest pretty quick here. Some more cilantro on the other side of that. This bed here is my second wave of cucumbers that are coming on, and then this bed here was my early vegetables, peas, lettuce, radishes and stuff that's been torn out, and the peas have died off. There are some onions still in that yet. And then this was my early bed of tomatoes, which is producing heavily right now. As you can see, they need picked very bad. I've been canning salsa. I got 16 or 18 jars so far, so I'll be canning here in the next few days again. As you can see, I got a lot of them to go. See what else we got up here. We got peppers growing in these couple beds here. These are last year's onions that I let them go, so they flowered. They look really cool this year in the raised bed, so I let them go. They're coming to the end of their looks here, so they need to come out. Then the cucumber patch has been producing a lot of cucumbers, and at the very end is cucamelons. No, let me see if I can show you the cucamelons. Somebody got me some seeds this year for cucamelons. These are the peppers. They're growing a lot of peppers in there. Peppers are doing good, producing. You can see there, a lot of peppers. We'll look at the melon bed here in a minute. These are the cucamelons here. And let me see if I can show you a cucamelon. There they are. So, not sure how big they get or what they'll taste like, but we're going to try them out and see. Okay, melon patch is doing really good. It's spreading out everywhere, and we got pumpkins down there. Let me see if I can see a melon. There's a few different kinds of melons. There's mango melons, there is El Gordo melons, and watermelons. Not a watermelon, a watermelon is what they're called. They're kind of a cross melon. Never grown them before, so we'll see how they turn out. But as you can see right in there, you can see a mango melon growing. So I'll be anxious when those come ripe. Those are about the sweetest melon you're ever going to taste. And they are delicious. So pumpkins are doing good. Haven't really looked close to see if I've got any. I do see a little pumpkin down in here growing. So usually you find them once they get bigger. And more peppers here. Growing a lot more peppers in here. And they're doing really good for the peppers. Over here in this bed that's kind of got some weeds coming out of it now, there's a half a bed of potatoes planted in there. They're pretty much starting to die off now, so they're getting ready to get harvested pretty soon, fairly soon. And more tomatoes down at that bottom row that are really tall, and they got a little bit of blight, but they're still producing a lot of tomatoes. Some more peppers in that top part of that bed, and then down on this one is again tomatoes. Got a lot of big tomatoes in that yet. They're really tall, and they're still producing, even though they got the blight. I'm still getting a lot of tomatoes, and so they should be really coming on. As you can see, they're getting tomatoes on there too. This was my biggest bed of potatoes here. They're starting to die off. They're still going yet, but they're starting to look pretty sad, actually. Those are the tomatoes with that stupid blight. I got all kinds of tomatoes in there. And over here, I'll show you. These are the real sweet tomatoes, and if I tried to pronounce the name, I would butcher it like crazy, so I won't. But they are about the sweetest tomato you'd ever want to taste. They're like eating candy. So And then more tomatoes there. Got all kinds of tomatoes. I planted around 10, I think, different kinds of tomatoes in here. So that's going to do it for the raised bed. I'm going to look at some flowers now. As you can see up along the property line here, I have Rose of Sharon's planted up, and they've just within the last week and a half, they've really busted out and flowering pretty good, which will attract the Japanese beetles, no doubt, but they look pretty good there. And in the front, as you can see, it's been taken over by yuccas and coneflowers and grasses. Grasses are getting huge. The coneflowers are spreading everywhere, and the yuccas are spreading everywhere too. You've got zebra grass in there. There's some maiden grass, I believe, in there. And we've got some palms out in the front porch growing. And I got some mounds of mums that are coming through. And then the grasses and stuff are taking over like crazy. So that's going to do it for this video from the Bad Back Gardener YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Catch up with me on Facebook. You can also email me at bbgardener@zoominternet.net. And as always, if your back ain't hurting, you ain't working.